celebrating over 10 years of prolific and unparalleled live fire barbecue and grilling talk. And yes, it's still being done from Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Second day of bonus content. It is Saturday, March 21st. I'm losing track of days, actually. Having 3 days of work at home has made me not be able to keep track of days. Get out of the schedule, the daily routine. We continue to talk coronavirus 2020. We continue to talk how it impacts business, but we're here to help as well. And somebody that I love to chat online, offline, on phones, through emails and text messages is first Tuesday of the month, regular guest, Sam the Cooking Guy.
Greg.
Sam, appreciate you taking time out here. And I don't know if, this could be a run of weeks where I can pretty much get whoever I want, because unlike any other circumstance where everybody's busy and doing whatever their regular life is put on pause, and that means staying at home. So there are silver linings. I was able to get Nick Solaris yesterday for some bonus content. I'm able to get you today for some bonus content. And I'm wondering, how is it affecting you personally right now?
Me, I will speak on behalf of the restaurant world right now. It's affected all of us in a really horrible way. We've closed both our restaurants.
If I can clarify, are you closed for good, or closed for the time being and hope to reopen?
Closed for the time being. Okay. And absolutely hope to reopen and have no reason to believe we won't, unless this goes beyond the expected.
So what is, from a business aspect, what are you and the partners talking about? Do you set out, okay, here's what we can do for these many days or months, and then if it surpasses that, then we have to look at a much dire set of consequences?
I don't know what those would be. Honestly, we've not really allowed ourselves to go there yet. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm in California. We're on lockdown. I don't think Ohio is yet, or are you?
Well, let's compare and contrast. What does lockdown in California mean?
Lockdown in California means you only go out for groceries, pharmacy, gas bank, essential services. It appears to me that not everybody is taking this very seriously. The China model, we know from what we can tell, not being in country, seems to have worked. But the China model was a really restrictive one, under threat of either arrest or significant fines. You stayed home, you didn't go out. I'm not sure what happened in Italy, why that has gone so horribly wrong. Part of me thinks it's the Italian style. Everything we loved about the Italians, their closeness, like the French, they're a cafe society. They sit outside, little tables, super close together. They kiss on two cheeks. There's lots of touching. They're very tactile. Now they've brought the military in to make sure nobody goes out, really nobody goes out. Kelly and I were musing yesterday at how casual people seem to be taking this. And I don't think you can take it casually. I think we need to only look at what's happening in Italy to understand what is very likely to happen here.
Are you noticing that it is, in general, a cavalier attitude, or are you noticing that it's a younger sector or
I think it's a younger sector. Look at Florida. Well, what the hell? How did parents allow their children to go to stuff like that? And I say allow, some were college kids, or maybe they were all college kids. I don't know. Maybe they had their own money, but many of them said, I can't afford this, Mom, Dad. Will you pay for me to go to Florida?
Yes, spring break.
And
right.
There was tacit approval by handing them the money or buying them the plane tickets. But what about the greater responsibility the state of Florida had? It's like they looked at this and they went, well, this is bad, but let's just give ourselves a couple more days of fun in the sun and fill up the hotel and the restaurant and the bar coffers a little bit more before we decide we have to pull the plug.
I totally agree that it was money motivated. You're in a huge tourist time of the year with spring break and college, restaurants and bars. Huge money that they could stand to lose. But here was the other thing, as this is transpiring, you have however many thousands of people down in Florida during spring break. In a normal circumstance, they then hop planes or get in cars and go back to their colleges. But now they're dispersing all over the country.
Of course, that's the problem. is the most irresponsible thing I've ever seen a state do, honestly.
Do you think, on a holistic sense, that in the beginning, maybe minds are changing as we are heading into a second week of this, but do you think that there was some kind of weird thought that this is a terrorist and we are not going to let the terrorist win? We're going to lead our lives as we had done 24 hours and 36 hours and 15 years before this. We will not succumb to this fear.
I feel like it was for a lot of people. I know what's going on in other parts of the world, but it's not going to happen to us. Not so much we will win and we'll live our life. It will show them. Yep. This is not the days following 9/11 when people were encouraged to go to Broadway shows and go to restaurants and stuff like that. It's the opposite of this. Yeah. It's absolutely the opposite. So it doesn't matter. You know, it's like, what's the expression about the horses or the barn gate's been left open? In the Florida's case, they left the freaking barn gate open. I saw these idiots on the news going, you know, well, if I get it, I get it. I heard one girl say, this is really ruining my spring break. Look, you and I are both fans of the Stern Show.
Yeah.
I came across a brand new John Melendez, Steve Grillo podcast this morning.
Oh, dear.
These words were spoken. Steve Grillo says, look, of all the people we know collectively, do you know anybody that's gotten it yet? And the other guy goes, no, I don't. And the guy goes, you think we would have known somebody, thereby saying, I mean, how bad could this really be if our circles haven't coincided with a COVID-19 case yet? The thinking is stupid. People have to look at what's going on in Italy. I keep going back to that. And I don't want to be a bummer. And we're going to stop talking about this and talk about the sort of the slightly more positive side of it. But have you seen those videos that have been sent by younger people? They put together this Instagram or social media campaign of Italians saying things like, we're speaking to you from the future 2 weeks from now. Don't make the mistakes we've made. You can't go out. You have to take this seriously. Okay, that's it. I'm going to start to freak myself out if I do this anymore.
Yeah. Well, so from a business standpoint, the restaurants are closed at this point.
Restaurants are closed. We did takeout for a couple days.
Yeah. Is that not a subsisting business model then?
It's not really, no. Because now people are really not going out. Really not going out. I'm in Little Italy, the restaurant capital of San Diego. Really is the most restaurant-centric part of the city.
You have a Javier's there? It's an inside joke, sorry.
It's a very inside joke. And no, it's actually not in Little Italy. Tough guy. We just made the decision. Didn't make sense to keep going.
Are the workers laid off or furloughed or like
the
what?
The workers
are
furloughed so they can go get unemployment insurance. And the hope is as many of them as possible come back after this. Mm-hmm. Whatever after this looks like.
Well, that was going to be my other question is, let's say, time frame I'm hearing now is midsummer, right, when everything will be trending down. Maybe we are released. I can't even believe I'm saying that out loud. We're not even in month 4. Midsummer is like mid-July. That's 3 months from now.
And to me, that feels like what's going to happen, at least.
Best speculation.
Yeah.
How do you think the restaurant industry domestically looks coming out of that 3 months later from now?
You know what? Knowing how many small single mom and pop restaurants there are, I have to think we're going to lose upwards of 60% of what's out there right now. It just feels like it. But you know what? It is not exclusive to the restaurant business. I walked the dogs last night, and we can do that. And I walked past some small retail shops in Little Italy. And I'm thinking, I wonder if those guys can make it.
Right.
They sell a handful of like women's things and the associated items. Can they possibly hang on? You need deep pockets to be able to do this. It's unbelievable. Are you still working? Can you still work?
Yeah, so luckily the position that I'm at in the day selling big trucks, because of my setup, I'm traditionally either out in the marketplace making calls or attending meetings. Obviously, we are encouraged now to not do those unless it is absolutely necessary. And it's not absolutely necessary. Obviously, I have a pretty decent video conferencing setup if I had to do it that way.
Yeah.
There aren't any real demands where somebody says, oh my God, I have to have a truck now. If that's the case, we do have some stock units available that we could offer. But if they want to build, that truck isn't going to build until mid-April, end of April at this point. So for me, it's been a lot of emailing. It's been a lot of phone calls. It's been a lot of, hey, when this thing resolves itself, can we get some dates that might work for us? And then if we have to bump back. So my day job at this point is unaffected, and luckily I'm unbothered at that point. And then obviously with the show, what I'm hoping to do now is, since I will have some extra time from a show perspective, is to do more of these. These aren't things that we normally do. It's usually a live show on Tuesdays. If you don't make the live show, we release a podcast, hour 1 on Wednesday, hour 2 on Thursday, and then we have the best of show on Friday. But if I can do an extra 2 or 3 or 4 bonus content things like we're doing now, then people are home. They're looking for things to do. Why not? And this was one of the things I was going to transition to, was we look at you. You have an opportunity, and certainly you're not looking to profit at this by any stretch of the imagination, but you have the ability to talk to a much wider base of people who are now trapped and looking to be entertained and learn.
Look, I've talked about my wife, Kelly. I adore her. She's behind me somewhere. She comes from a family that loves the news, like legitimately loves the news, and I would watch, I'm old enough. I'm still in the television mode of wanting to see news on TV in the morning, and then 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. But I cannot watch this coverage all throughout the day.
Yeah.
I cannot. I need something to take my mind off it. And you're right. I think if people find something else, I think it's a great time for people to learn how to sew, speak Spanish, clean their house. Kelly said the other day, let's do the pantry.
When was the last time she said that?
I don't know. But I'm like, no, and my excuse is, honey, come on. We can't do everything we want to do in the first day of the lockdown. We'll have nothing to do.
We have weeks left. Let's pace our doings.
I cleaned my computer screen yesterday. It took me like 6 minutes. It had a lot of fingerprints on it.
Yeah.
And I felt good, like I'd accomplished something for the day. Fortunately, my next cookbook, I just got back the edited recipes. So I send it all off. They go through it. They send it back to me. And it's, leave track changes on, make your comments off to the side. That went back to them the beginning of January. And I just got back yesterday. Not just the recipes looking good, but laid out in the style of the book, along with all the photographs in place. This is thrilling for me.
Yeah.
And now my job is to go through, probably my last opportunity to go through and clean up language. And did I mean to say 3 minutes? I meant 4, and I can word that better. But I've got that to do. But that has to be back the beginning of April. Then what? Then we've got YouTube, and we're going to continue to figure out how to shoot, because I think it's of value. I would never say I'm being of service, because that's what policemen and firemen and those guys do.
It can all mean stuff differently. I mean, I think we're all doing a service. It doesn't have to be life-saving service or first responding service.
But I think at this point in time is a great opportunity for people that say, I can't cook, or I don't know how to grill, I don't understand barbecue. This is the time for those guys to jump online and find something. Just because you don't think you can smoke a pork shoulder, which, by the way, the most forgiving piece of meat God ever put on this planet. Yeah. You can smoke a pork shoulder. And by the way, many of us are going to have nothing but time soon, and the ability to go to the supermarket, at least for now, until, who knows how. That can't change, I don't think. I think the way that they let you in and they limit the numbers in 25 at a time, every 10 or 15 minutes, I think that's a reality.
By the way, there's no danger of running out of food. There was no danger of running out of toilet paper either, but somehow that got lost in translation.
You know that there's mother effers out there that have 20, 30 cases of the stuff.
Sure.
And what to what end? What do they think is going to happen? Because, by the way, if the planet ends, 30 cases of toilet paper are not going to help you.
Let's be human.
It's crazy out there, man.
But there is no danger of running out of food or supplies. At least here in Ohio, we've been told that the food suppliers are busier than they've ever been for this specific reason,
because of this wacky demand. Anyway, we've changed our tone. We've done 2 now lockdown episodes. Here's where you make some chicken, and here are 5 things you can do with it.
Yeah.
Mostly with your pantry. The second one we did was do this with some ground beef, and then here's essentially 4 or 5 things that you can make with it. So next will be pasta, and then in a week from now we'll run out of that, and then we'll be showing you how to make hats out of napkins or something. I don't know. We won't be doing that, but maybe basics again. Just slow everything down. Let's all just take a breath, and not to be funny, because it's one of the things that the people that have this disease in a very bad way can't get.
Yep.
They're having a hard time with that. And so that's the point. Let's use this time to get back to maybe some simpler times when we did these things.
Let's talk a little bit. People can obviously go to the YouTube channel and check out the lockdown recipes for both beef and chicken. But do you have 1 or 2 of each that stood out as one of your favorites?
I'm a big fan of chicken soup. I think it's a great thing to do. You can start with almost any part of the chicken, but I think if you can get your hands on a chicken, which has been a little difficult here. I don't know about Ohio.
Oh, it's been difficult on both sides.
Don't forget, the other thing that you can get your hands on right now are frozen turkey.
100%. And hams.
I think people forget that a frozen turkey is really just a big ass frozen chicken.
Yeah.
So take that thing, maybe give it to the butcher in its frozen state and have them saw it in half lengthwise and keep one half in the freezer, let the other half defrost, and then roast it. Use the meat for a couple of meals because turkey breasts are large, and thighs and legs. You could feed your family easy for a couple of days on just the meat that came off of that. And then save those bones and turn the bones into soup. I did this 3 days ago because we have an older refrigerator in my garage, and we packed it too much in spots that were important to its life, and it started thawing. And I opened it up to get something, and there was a giant Ziploc bag of turkey bones that were on their way, started defrosting. I said, well, now's the time to make soup out. Those bones, honestly, and there's a recipe on my website for turkey soup, but it makes the best stuff.
Are you a make your broth guy?
Yeah, I love that. I think it's a great thing to do.
So is that just water and you put the bones in and you put rough chopped vegetables?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anything?
Skim it, bring it to a boil. The collagen will come out of the bones. It'll create that foam on top. Skim that off. Turn it down to a simmer. Put a lid on. Leave it for an hour and a half.
What about spices and herbs and things of this nature? Just salt and pepper?
I start to do that stuff after.
Yeah.
So once I've gotten the bones simmered, closed lid, throw the bones in, cover them with an extra couple inches of water. Bring it to a boil, turn it down to a simmer. Skim the fat off for the first half an hour. Then put the lid on, let it simmer for a couple hours. Then strain it. And now you've got broth. Now if you want to make it into soup, now it goes back into a clean pot. Just this strained broth. Chopped up onion, celery, carrots, little bundle of thyme, couple cloves of garlic smashed whole, and let that start to do its thing. And then after about an hour and a half, now you've gone from broth to soup, and the soup is delicious. You're going to want to season it, salt, pepper. I always throw a tablespoon or 2, depending on how much liquid I have, of soy sauce in. It's that umami thing. It just amps up the savory taste of it without making it taste like Chinese chicken soup or turkey soup or whatever it is. You don't taste it. You taste the benefit of it. But once you've got the soup done, you want to put a little handful of raw rice in, do that.
I was going to ask if you do, like my wife is
noodles.
a huge, oh, okay. Well, that's what I was going to say is my wife grew up on egg noodles. My mom never made soup ever that I recall, but when I started dating my wife and my mother-in-law made red soup and beef soup and chicken soup, they weren't overly flavorful. She's not a real flavor person, but always noodles with every soup, and I'd never experienced that.
I mean, it's the best. I think it's the best. Parsley, lemon in the last, whatever. The end of it, it's a really good thing. So we made soup, we made tacos, we did a stir fry with the chicken. And this is all predicated on either you buying a deli roasted chicken or cooking your own chicken. My favorite way to cook chicken these days is in a 300-degree oven, parts or whole. If I'm going to do it whole, I'll spatchcock it. You know how to do that. Yep. Season it, little oil, little salt and pepper, put in a 300-degree oven, let the breasts come to about 160 degrees and take it out, let it rest a bit, and you've got really beautiful chicken. Take all the meat off the bones and use it for the stuff we did. We made a mac and cheese with it. We made tacos with it, a stir fry. We even took store-bought pie dough and made empanadas with barbecue sauce and cheese, and they were fantastic. But then don't throw out the bones ever. If you don't know what to do with them, at the very least, just take the bones, the carcass, all of the hard parts of this chicken, put them in a Ziploc bag and throw it in your freezer until you either decide it's your moment or somebody persuades you or you come across a recipe, honestly, as meaningful as keeping the meat of the chicken itself.
I got to tell you, and I've become famous over the years for being brutally honest, for being pretty dumb when it comes to cooking. I've never done that. As soon as I'm done picking the rotisserie chicken that I get from the store or one that I make myself, we'll pick it apart and then I toss it in the garbage.
Yeah, it's crazy. The other thing to keep, a bit of a pain in the ass, shrimp shells. I have in my freezer right now big Ziploc bag of shrimp shells.
Wow.
To make a broth.
A shrimp
broth? By the
broth?
way, or
seafood broth?
Seafood broth. I would challenge you, Mr. Rempe.
Yeah.
In these days and weeks ahead.
In these trying times.
Find a chicken. Grow a chicken. Raise a chicken. Whatever you need to do to get one. And cook it whole. I would suggest spatchcocked on a rack, on a baking sheet, 300 degrees, till it's done.
All right.
And then use the meat for whatever you want. Save the bones. And then let's make soup one day. What's the supermarket that you go to?
That's called Giant Eagle.
Giant Eagle?
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Do you have Piggly Wiggly?
No. I think that's a southern thing.
Is it?
Not just southern, but more southeast, like Georgia, Florida. I could be way off base, but I believe I've been through a Piggly Wiggly, and that has been more Atlantic side, southeast.
Yeah, I just imagine like a woman at the front greeting you with a bowl of like grits and sausage or some shit on top of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, welcome to Piggly Wiggly. We're trying our cheese grits of the day. We got ham hock, which by the way, let's not ignore that. I don't know, I imagine your audience may be more inclined to this than mine, but some kind of soup with a ham hock thrown in. Unbelievable what that does for smoky, porky flavor. Unbelievable.
That's what I've seen in the grocery store, too, is being available. You had mentioned the turkeys, which I've seen. And we've gone through, we'll do the double round of go through Giant Eagle grocery store to see what's available. And then we'll go to Walmart to see what's available. If one doesn't have something, typically the other does, but not necessarily. And it's been sparse in the meat, but I've seen a lot of turkeys. I've seen a lot of hams, whole hams or half hams. Not much else, unfortunately. Very little chicken, very little beef. We got a 10-pound log of ground beef at 6 o'clock in the morning at Walmart when we went.
What'd you do with it?
We just rationed it out into like a pound and a half, and then vacuum packed it and froze it.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing to do.
So, I mean, we could easily make burgers with it if we wanted to when it was still fresh. It'll be a little bit more difficult now, but we figured we'd have better use with it in a frozen form. Yeah.
So here's what we did. I took a couple pounds of ground beef, started to cook it in a pan, added onion, garlic, and then cumin. My constant a trio of herbs that I use. I use cumin, I use garlic powder, like oregano.
Like oregano, or you use oregano?
No, it was oregano.
Okay.
Sorry. Well, in California, we have something called like oregano, but I don't want to complicate this. So I did that, and that was the basis for, the enchiladas that we made. Once you had that, you were 4 ingredients away from really delicious enchiladas. Of course, we made a burrito with it.
Is enchilada the one that you bake?
Enchilada is the one that you bake,
okay.
yeah.
I'm not a big Mexican know-it-all. I know what a taco is.
I don't think understanding what an enchilada is makes you, quote, a big Mexican know-it-all.
Yes, but so what I meant to say was I would hate to be just throwing out terms and using them incorrectly because I don't know the difference between one or the other. 45.
Ohio, let me just remember what your state must be like. You have just embarrassed an entire state of people.
How's that?
By admitting you didn't know really the difference between an enchilada and what? A taco?
No. I said I know what a taco is.
Yeah.
You can get it soft. You can get it in a hard shell.
What could the enchilada have been if it wasn't baked?
But then there's burrito, and then there's enchilada, and I believe those things are made with the same shell. And I'm not a huge Mexican food lover, so I've never really spent a lot of... If I don't like it, why should I?
Maybe you just haven't had... Look,
Sam, in these trying times, I shouldn't be forced to like something that I don't.
This is exactly the time you and your listeners should be opening up their minds.
We can leave my listeners out of this.
No, your listeners need a little suggestion because clearly they're not getting it from you.
I don't know that you can correlate my dislike or non-preference of Mexican food to the rest of my listeners. I'm sure
this is not the. No. It had nothing to do.
That's what you just said.
No, listen. Let me finish. It had nothing to do with correlating your dislike and ignorance of Mexican food to the rest of your listeners.
We can check the tape, Benji.
All I'm saying is that this is the time for your listeners to keep an open mind and try new things.
Yes.
That's all. Douche.
But I just wanted to make sure, because I knew one of them you had to bake. Or is it fried? Can you fry them?
I'm not having this conversation. From where I'm sitting right now, I'm 20 minutes to the Mexican border.
Yeah.
We have a rich, deep heritage of all Mexican foods in San Diego. I will not dignify that comment with a response.
All right. It's like you want to be educational, but somehow I've offended you because I don't really know a lot about Mexican food. I mean,
now I have to stop.
Jeez Louise.
Enchiladas go in an oven.
All right.
Burrito, you just need a tortilla. You put all the things in, you roll it up, and then you can heat it again if you want, like on a flat top like you've seen me do.
Is the difference between a taco and a burrito is the taco is technically open and the burrito is then shut closed?
100%.
Okay.
Fillings can be the same. Yeah. And by the way, those crispy, yellowy, golden taco shells that you see,
like from old El Paso or something like that,
only exist at El Torito and restaurants in Cleveland.
The golden tacos that you get in the packages?
Yeah, you would never you would never find one of those anywhere in a taco shop in San Diego. And we're famous for some of the best tacos in the country.
Rest assured that I know that 100%. If I go to legitimate taco places here in Cleveland, and they do not have golden crispy shells. Only Taco Bell.
Okay, by the way, that being said, there is one application where they're outstanding.
Okay.
That's when you take a soft tortilla.
Yes.
You cook it in the sense that, in a nonstick pan, you get a little color on it. Then a layer of refried beans.
Yes.
And then that golden crispy shell. And then you fill it up and then you fold it. That's the double-decker taco that Taco Bell created.
Right.
That's the only time worth buying those things.
And I think if you're going to do that, and boy, have we done our normal thing and gotten way off track. But if you're going to do that, you really have to make sure that inner crispy or the inner crunchy shell is very crisp, because there's nothing more frustrating than when you go to Taco Bell and get that, and they haven't heated it up at all to make it crispy, and then it's like pliable, and it's quite a disappointing experience.
Let's do a service to your listeners and say, follow the directions on that box. I would like to know that your listeners were only going to use those crispy golden Shells. From what company did you suggest?
There's Old El Paso.
That's right. Probably Old El Paso. Only if they're going to make this double-decker taco.
Yes.
Don't. I suppose if it's taco night and that's what your family likes, that's fine. But if you're going to use those things, you must follow the package directions. Stand them up on a baking sheet, 350 for 10 minutes or something. They must get crispy, or you're 100% right. Mexican food hater. They are no bueno, as we say.
No bueno, right. That's not good in Spanish for those non-Spanish speakers.
Right.
From a coming up standpoint, we're still publishing 3 days a week then for the foreseeable future? Will you
try to? Yeah. I mean, I suppose if it may become a different version of it, it may be me, one camera on me shooting and then sending the video to Max somehow, uploading it to Max.
But you guys could maintain a good 6 feet between you. You could set up some remote cameras and maintain the distance. He doesn't have to push in for those close shots that we're used to seeing in production.
No, he doesn't. He could get them from the other side, like being in front of me or something, like you suggested. That's fine. That'll all work. There's no reason that can't work.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it might look different.
Sure, there could be a different production value to it.
But we're still here providing, we think, is a darn good service and hoping that people like it.
Like I said in the beginning, I think given where we're at now, people want to watch stuff. They want to be entertained, and they're also looking for things that they've become accustomed to getting prior to this, during this. And I think if you are able to do it safely, then you are providing a service.
I think so. And I don't think we can ignore what's going on. I think it would be reckless of me to say, or to do an episode where a dinner party food.
Right.
That would be foolish. When I see stuff on TV now that has a whole lot of people standing around shaking hands and being super close, like, I know they can't pull all the programming, but I also don't want it to go to Walking Dead era entertainment, level of entertainment. I don't want that.
The good news is in a couple weeks, you'll be back on the show. We'll be able to get a business update and a temperature of whatever that looks like here in the next couple weeks. Hopefully,
I'll give you watch this. Watch me give you the business update right now. It's the same. We're still not open.
I'm no expert, by the way. I'm not a doctor. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But perhaps there's a scenario where, as testing rolls out, as more of these informational bits are learned, we'll have actually found out that over the past few months, prior to knowing this, there have been way more people that have been infected and that have resolved on their own than we know. And maybe we're not climbing as steep of a hill as we might be anticipating.
When this ends, and it has to end, of course, it can't be the new look of the world. You can't be locked in your homes for the rest of life. That's obviously not a model that can exist. Some point, somebody's going to come up with a shot for this, but it will come back. And when it does, hey, people got to eat. They're going to want to get out of their houses with a vengeance and celebrate life again. And that's what we want. We want that to happen. We look forward to that. It's going to be a great day when it does.
All right, it's Sam the Cooking Guy. You can find him at thecookingguy.com. I almost said Sam the. Can you find you at samthecookingguy.com too? Do you own that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right.
You can also find me at danthecookingman.com.
Dan the Cooking Man?
Because
Really?
It's stupid. Every so often somebody will say to me,
"Are you Dan the Cooking Man?"
No, every so often somebody will go, "Oh, Sam the Cooking Man." And then I find myself in a quandary. Do I say nothing?
Yeah, you say nothing.
Do I correct them from one stupid name to another stupid name?
You say nothing.
We were at it was like a home show, a backyard show, backyard furniture and jacuzzis, which we don't have and shit like that once. And from about 40 feet away, this lady, she may have been in the bag, I don't really know, yells, "Oh my God." And of course, you hear a woman yell, "Oh my God," and every head turns.
Oh, yeah.
As did ours. We were not looking in her direction. And as we turn, her arm is pointing at me, fully extended, forefinger right in my face, from 40 feet away.
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh my God, it's Dan the Cooking Man." And I went, "Yeah, it is." And I just turned and went the other way. I'm on a radio station here on Fridays, and we talked about this once. And it became just this big joke.
Yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of people will try and capture similarly sounding or similarly spelled, or they'll misspell. They'll find how it's most commonly misspelled, and they'll buy that URL too to redirect.
Yes,
a lot of ways to catch, but Dan the Cooking Man is one that I didn't see. I thought SamTheCookingGuy.com was a little outside of the box, but Dan the Cooking Man is definitely one I wasn't anticipating. On the show, you know him as Sam the Cooking Guy. Perhaps in other internet circles and social situations where you might be half in the bag or fully in the bag, he's Dan the Cooking Man. Or Stan, perhaps.
Or Stan.
But in 2 weeks, he will resume as the first Tuesday of the month regular. I'm getting my regular guests mixed up here. It's taking some time on his Saturday morning from Southern California to talk about the coronavirus and giving you some recipes to try out as we're locked in. Sam, always appreciate the time.
You're the best, man. Thanks, Greg.